Hey, hi everyone. Coming up with another quick look session on throttling. So we'll just discuss around like what is throttling in terms of within Salesforce Apex, because there are various other throttling when we think of LWC or API, right? So in this session we are focusing only on the Apex part as well as the flows, or when we are using omniscripts, and within omniscript we are using integration procedure and data raptors, right? So what is throttling, right? So in general terms, throttling means something which will slow down the performance. So if you see here, right, in our transaction processing, we know Salesforce it's multi-tenant, and because of that we have a lot of governor limits, right? So one of the limit with your CPU time is 10,000 milliseconds. If you see here, so we have 10,000 millisecond as a limit, or 10 second we call it as, right? And within this time, our code should execute. If it doesn't, then it will throw a error that the CPU time is exceeded, right? So now, how to get rid of this or how to avoid this, and what are the things which cause this, throttling, which can be a cause for this, right? So if you see here, so in the root causes, if we analyze, right? So the major contributors are like inefficient loops. So what do you mean by inefficient loops? Is like you're using some database operations, queries within your loops, which make your loop heavier on the operational side, right? Then you may have a chain calls. So say if you are using integration procedure, and if in within that you are calling multiple database, queries, instead you where you can like, use a single query and get the things done. So that kind of things you have to be very careful while working on this. Then the major thing is again a non-selective SQL, right, where people generally don't apply filters on the queries considering data is less, but over the time period then data grows and then it contributes towards the throttling process or the throttling issue, right? Again, whenever we are using filters in SQL query, make sure that those filters are on the index fields, like your IDs, external IDs, lookup fields, parent child fields, right? Because that will make the query efficient. So these are the causes which cause that. So how to avoid this, right? So in order to avoid this, what we can do is we should bulkify our code. So this is very common thing, right? Whenever we are starting with Salesforce, the first thing is told to us is like Salesforce is a multi-tenant, and we have to be very careful about the governor limits. So the primary thing we learned is bulkifying our code. How we do that bulkification, we all know, right? We use maps and list, and smartly we make use of it to reduce the CPU time consumption or avoid the multiple queries to the database. Then we should always be focusing on using before saved flows. Nowadays we all know, right? Now we are not using process builders. Earlier it were a process builder. Now we should be using flows, and at times if there are so much of complex logic, it is better to go for Apex, because whatever low code is always good, but when it comes to a very complex operations, preferred is your Apex. Then you should always be debugging your code to understand like which part of your code is consuming more time, and then focusing on how you can reduce that time consumption. So these are very small things, but this will help you in making your application throttle proof. You will never face a throttling issue. This is very simple thing, but it's very important for a developer to understand, even for a team lead or an architect to keep an eye on whenever there are changes ongoing, because generally people tend to forget, and because of the delivery pressure, review is also not, sometimes these things get skipped, and then when the error strikes, then people start looking into it. So instead of that, while doing your changes or while making the code, make sure you shouldn't be making these mistakes. Okay. Thank you.